there was another element to it that sometimes gets obscured, which was it was a big bet on what political scientists have now been able to show, something called the democratic peace. Democracies don't fight one another. And so instead of crushing Germany, you would encourage a democratic Germany, which then would never threaten its neighbors. You would encourage a democratic Japan, which would never threaten its neighbors. So this system is going very well, but actually you never really have to worry about the connection between national security and the international economy, because initially the Soviet Union was completely isolated from this, and so the Soviet Union was a military might, but it was also an economic and technological midget. And so you didn't have to worry too much about the implications of national security for the economy. You could engage in things like COCOM, something that I used to manage, which isolated the Soviet economy by denying it technology through a set of restrictions. Oh, by the way, they were kind of self-isolating because they believed that they didn't want to integrate into the international economy, that they would be vulnerable if they did. So these two trains were going on very separate tracks, a national security side and an economic side. Soviet Union collapses and the countries of the bloc are pulled into the system. But the big change is, of course, in 2001, China is admitted to the WTO. And all of a sudden, this system, which was sort of represented by the G7, started by George Shultz and Ronald Reagan, the G7, the 7 largest economies in the world, they were also all democracies. They were all a part of the American security arrangements. Enter China, not a democracy, not a part of the American security arrangements, benefiting from the international economic peace. And for one moment, if you were in business, you kind of put your supply chains where they were most efficient. You did the investments where the ROI was greatest. You manufactured and you assembled where the conditions were best. And you just painted on a great big canvas because it was kind of one big international economy. As China evolved, however, it took the benefits of integration into that economy and began to challenge instead the American system, challenging in the South China Sea, challenging around Taiwan. And to me, one of the great moments, a kind of hinge point, if you will, Xi Jinping's speech in 2015, that China would surpass the United States in frontier technologies like quantum and AI within 10 years. And oh, by the way, civil-military fusion would mean that those benefits technologically would go to benefit the PLA.